All right, now to the burning question. Pretty much every patient asks me this question is it bad to eat soy if I have breast cancer? What do you think?
Absolutely not. I would actually encourage it.
I agree with you, but I want to hear your take on it.
So the biggest thing is soy has been one of the biggest controversial topics when it comes to breast cancer and hormone receptor positive cancers for decades, okay? Now, the way this all started was decades ago. There was a rodent study that was done, and the study gave rodents, and there were two different types of rodents. One was a mouse and one was a rat. I actually don't know which one was which from this standpoint, but what they did is they gave these rodents high amounts of soy to see what happened. One of the rodents developed breast cancer, one did not. Okay, so then in the medical community, it was like, hold up, stop, no recommendations of soy because it causes breast cancer in rodents. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that we can glean information from these studies because they do need to progress to human studies. However, thousands and thousands of studies later, done on humans, have shown that soy included into the diet actually reduces the risk of estrogen and receptor and even progesterone, and get this, triple negative cancers as well, that it has a benefit to help reduce the risk of recurrence. So a lot of it stems from this, this study that was done long ago, and we hear this was bad for us, but we didn't have all the information, and research changes. And so why would this be a benefit, right? So people say, but soy contains estrogen. Soy contains phytoestrogen, which is plant estrogen. It is not the same as human estrogen, although they do in their chemical structure look similar, but it is not the same. So what happens, and this is kind of getting down to the nitty and gritty of it, but we have two different receptors of estrogen in our body. Okay, we have an alpha receptor and a beta receptor. Now, when we think of receptors, receptors are like the lock, and the hormone is the key, okay? So let's say the key is the estrogen in our body, and the lock or the receptor is where the key goes into, right? So the estrogen key goes into the estrogen lock or receptor, and it opens the door and lets it work, okay? Have you ever had a key that fits into the lock and it doesn't open the lock and you get so incredibly frustrated? You're like, but it works, right? That's the part of the relationship with soy and human estrogen, right? It can sit in that receptor, but it doesn't work. Now, when we get down to the alpha and the beta, okay, these two different receptors, the human estrogen prefers to sit in the alpha receptor, okay? The beta receptor is where the phytoestrogens prefer to sit. Okay, so I know this is kind of be a complicated thing, so let's think about that again. So we have the alpha receptor, that's where the human estrogen prefers to go. And we have the beta receptor, that's where the phytoestrogens prefer to go. But the thing about that is when the beta receptors are essentially firing or working, it actually reduces the alpha receptor and therefore reduces the risk of breast cancer.
Wow.
Okay?
That is an incredible explanation. I will never forget the lock and key forever. I'm going to see that to my patients. So.
Yeah. Please do, because this is one of the biggest myths and things that I'm trying, and much of the medical community and nutrition community is trying to dispel, is that soy is actually beneficial. Now, when we take it away from that, this study in breast cancer patients that are estrogen receptor cancers, in their survivorship, research has shown that individuals that are breast cancer survivors that eat the most amount of soy have a 25% risk reduction of recurrence.